All right, good afternoon. The board meeting of the Gateway Development Commission is now called to order. Today we are holding a public meeting of the Gateway Development Commission's Board of Commissioners. Today's meeting is being held in person, but as a part of the transition from virtual meetings as a result of the COVID-19 public health crisis, public comments will continue to be solicited virtually. Audio is also being live streamed from the Gateway program website. The Commission will solicit comments from members of the public who have signed up for in-person comment. The Commission is also soliciting comments from the public that may be participating today virtually. A form for soliciting these comments is posted on the Gateway program website for those who wish to submit a comment for today's meeting. Acting Secretary Caulfield, may I ask you to conduct the roll call and report on the public notice for today's meeting.
Co-Chair Glenn. Co-Chair Graywall-Verk.
Here.
Vice Chair Kosha. Here. Commissioner Barbas.
Here.
Commissioner Bauer.
Here.
Commissioner Dominguez.
Here.
Commissioner Zarro.
Here.
We have a quorum. Adequate notice of today's regular public meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Gateway Development Commission has been provided in accordance with the Commission's enabling legislation. The agenda and public comments pertaining to the board meeting have been made publicly available on the Gateway program's website. Notice of the meeting was posted to the website 5 business days before the meeting, and public notice of the time and place of the meeting was provided to appropriate media outlets. A video recording of this meeting will be posted on the Gateway program website.
Thanks, Ed. Before we continue into the public portion of today's meeting, we will be entering into executive session to discuss contract negotiations, personnel matters, and matters in which the release of information could impair a right to receive funds from the United States. After the executive session, the board will reconvene in public meeting session at 1:00 p.m. or shortly thereafter to continue the meeting, during which we will hear from our CEO, Chris Calori, for an update on the Gateway program. I make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss contract negotiations, personnel matters, and matters in which the release of information can impair a right to receive funds from the United States or other grantor. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Jerry. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Good afternoon. I hereby reconvene the open session board meeting. Mr. Caulfield, do we have a quorum?
Yes, all commissioners are in attendance in person, and if the commissioners attending virtually can please identify themselves.
Jamie Barbas, present.
Marie-Therese Dominguez, present.
Jerry Zarro, present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Caulfield. I want to welcome everyone back to today's meeting of Gateway Development Commission. The next item on today's agenda is a report on the minutes of the September 13th, 2022 meeting of the board. I will now turn to Mr. Caulfield for a report on the minutes of that meeting.
Copies of the minutes of the meeting of September 13th, 2022 were delivered in electronic form by myself to the governors of New York and New Jersey on September 19th, 2022. The time for action by the governors of New York and New Jersey expired at midnight on October 4th, 2022, at which time actions recorded in the minutes went into full force and effect.
Thank you, Mr. Caulfield. We will now turn to our CEO, Chris Calori, for an update on the Gateway program. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Co-Chair. Good afternoon, members of the board. I want to first thank New Jersey Transit for hosting today's board meeting. We appreciate all their help. Over the last several months, GDC has articulated and implemented various actions to advance the Hudson Tunnel project. The efforts have been meaningful, tangible, and measurable. I want to update you today on the progress we've made since the board meeting and to provide you a roadmap of the work ahead. Building our effort to develop a cost and schedule going back to August, you also took action to make sure GDC becomes the project sponsor for the HTP project. Since then, I'm so pleased to report that we've reached a very significant milestone. At the end of October, GDC submitted all the documents necessary to request entry into engineering with the FTA. This is a first for the agency, and this is a first for the Hudson Tunnel project. This is a significant achievement by the agency, and it would not have happened but for the support of many people around this room here and in other places. A significant part of the submission is also the project development agreement. We're also focused on RIF loans. We're focused on continuing to ensure that the GDC continues to get prepared to accept federal money and to manage money as required. And finally, we will be procuring a project delivery partner in short order to help us. Entry to engineering is a critical phase of the process because it is the process where we get an evaluation and a rating. It is part of the continuum to get us to a full funding grant agreement. This process now has moved us into the risk assessment phase of the process with the FDA. It also means that we're done with the development phase and we will be ready to enter into engineering in the not too distant future. As you see on the right-hand side of the screen, the submission was not only voluminous, but it required tremendous effort and diligence by the staff and multiple parties helping us. The PDA essentially represents a framework, or a constitution, I'd like to call it, under which we will all work together to deliver the HTP. I know they're on the call today, but I think it is very important to acknowledge the tremendous technical assistance the US DOT, FRA, and the FDA gave us to get us ready for this PDA. The PDA governs all aspects of project delivery, and today we're seeking approval from you to execute this agreement. We look forward to working with the FTA during the risk assessment to evaluate not only mitigation measures, but to specifically see if there's ways in which we can introduce innovative ideas from a design standpoint. It is unique to have this level of clarity on a complex project within a multi-layered organization and a multilateral organization. The governance framework that you see on the screen provides GDC the primary responsibility. We are central to implementing HTP in an effective, transparent, and fiscally responsible manner. The GDC CEO has the fiduciary obligation to carry out your mandates and to ensure day-to-day oversight of this entire project. It articulates in crystal clear terms the roles and responsibilities and engages the support of our partners and operators from a policy, financial, technical, and delivery standpoint. And as I've said before, it will also allow us to engage a project delivery partner to make sure that we are consistently meeting our financial, technical, and legal capacity issues that the FDA will ask us to meet. An important part of the submission is also the financial plan. As all of you know, in 2021 August, we submitted a financial plan from the GDC that basically contemplated a 50-50 strategy, which includes 50% federal funding and 50% local share funding. Based on the Northeast Corridor inventory that was released by the FRA this week, HTP is now eligible to receive more federal funds through a program called the Fed State Partnership Program. What does this mean for New Jersey and New York? That net result for New Jersey and New York, when we apply, because we're now eligible But these new funds, they will be over and above what we will be entitled to get under the CIG, and that will reduce the state's share. And that is why this is such a pivotal moment in our project. Today, we're also presenting, as required under the GDC Act, a preliminary budget which you will consider and vote on in December. As we set up operations at the GDC, these resources will help lay the foundation for us to deliver the project in an efficient and transparent manner. We will, of course, seek reimbursement for all eligible expenditures from our federal funding partners. The budget is a reflection of our work ahead in 2023. So today, we're going to ask you for approval for two things. Resolution 1 is an approval for us to execute the PDA. Resolution number 2 will allow you to give me the delegated authority to enter into operational funding agreements with all our partners and to retain an independent auditor to make sure that the funds that are given are spent appropriately. Before I close, I just want to personally thank you, the members of this board. Over the last 5 months, you have spent more time than reasonably should be expected, because you all have full-time jobs, to help us achieve this significant milestone. The governor's office have been right there through the thick and thin, and so has the congressional delegation. Senator Schumer, who has been following this project, including today, has been a huge advocate, has been laser focused on where we are on every development through this process. And finally, the USDOT and my colleagues at GDC. I am so glad we are entering into a Thanksgiving week, because I am so grateful for all the work that they do to make this agency look good. Thank you so much. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate your time, energy, and effort, of course, and your team. Thank you for the long nights and days, and we really do appreciate it. So, for making all this progress up till now. With the submission of the request to enter engineering, which includes an updated financial plan and the PDA that we are voting on, today is a major milestone in the development of the Hudson Tunnel project. We look forward to working with the FTA during the risk assessment process and beyond to further mitigate risk and include innovative design and delivery concepts. I note for the record that the Commission has solicited in-person and virtual comments from the public in advance of and during today's meeting. A form for soliciting these comments was posted to the GDC website in advance of the meeting, and members of the public attending in person also had the opportunity to register today when arriving. The comments form for virtual participation was available throughout today's meeting. The Commission received 3 virtual public comments by 5 p.m. on Thursday, November 17, 2022. If any virtual comments are received during today's meeting, they will be distributed to the board and posted on the Gateway Program website after today's meeting. All public comments received will also be filed in the Commission's records. Mr. Caulfield will now conduct the public comment period for those speakers who have registered in person today.
Thank you, Co-Chair. Today we have 2 registered speakers. In order to give everyone an opportunity to be heard, we request you limit your comments to 3 minutes. In accordance with the GDC Open Meetings Policy, the public comment period may be limited to 30 minutes. The first speaker is Joseph Clift.
Good afternoon. I hope those who are attending remotely got a copy of my handout. It's nice to be back in New Jersey. Train was on time, and I'm here. I have 3 asks of commissioners today. The first is to change the direction of an otherwise Titanic, transit Titanic. Gateway, if you look at the NEC, the FRA's NEC project inventory that just came out, Gateway is now $40 billion, $40 billion. There's another $7 billion to fix up Penn Station and another $8 billion in related work. Some of that work is necessary for Gateway to work well. You're talking $55 billion. That is $850,000 per existing round-trip rider. It's a number that I don't think anyone in this room thinks can be afforded. The problem is that the current project, the Hudson Tunnel Project Phase 1, which is the tunnel and the Portal North Bridge, does nothing to add capacity. It depends on another $22 billion being spent, plus some of the other work, before you get one more train or one more rider in the peak hour. That's a recipe for disaster. I call it a transit Titanic. And the solution to that, you got to change direction, but the first step is to separate the Hudson Tunnel Project, new tunnel, from the repair of the existing tunnels. Repair in place, which is done all over the world. It's been done at the Transit Authority in New York. A report by London Bridge Associates to you or your predecessors, Gateway Development Program Corporation, says it can be done. That means you start tunnel repairs next year, which is 12 years faster than you will under the current plan. That is important not only to get the tunnels repaired quickly, but it also frees up the existing plan to build new tunnels so they can be put on a different trajectory. Change the process. Instead of spending $40 billion to get one additional train in the peak hour, change the pieces, come up with a $20 billion plan, and you can do it under the current financing. I might add the reality that the FRA put the Hudson Tunnel Project in Phase 1 of the inventory. That's called backlog. The new tunnel is not really backlog. If you can fix the old tunnels for $2 billion nights and weekends, that project, that $12 billion new tunnel drops into the second world. Third point I want to make, third ask, get your staff to follow the bylaws on open meetings. They dropped 63 pages of attachments on us this morning. They should have done that 72 hours ago. And there needs to be a calendar on the website saying when the next meeting is so people can plan to attend. Thank you very much. Oh, one additional comment. You have people on this commission who have the technical expertise to really dig into an alternative approach to getting capacity for less dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Sophie Capello of the RPA.
Hi, I'm Sophie Capello, and I'm testifying on behalf of Regional Plan Association as the campaign associate for the Build Gateway Now coalition. Thank you to the GDC for inviting public comments today, and congratulations on submitting the application for the federal funding grant agreement for the Hudson Tunnel project to enter into the engineering phase. Applying for the FFGA is a necessary and important milestone, but with thousands of pages of application materials, it's not an easy process. The GDC and project partners have continued to meet deadlines each step of the way, and it's so rewarding to see this project move forward. At RPA, we're working on a series of public engagement tools to help the media and the public better understand the federal funding process for infrastructure projects of this size. As supporters of the Gateway program, it's critical that we all do what we can to keep our networks engaged and to sustain the momentum that the GDC and partners have built up over the past few months. We're fortunate to have a federal administration that's supportive of this project, so we must urge our federal partners to put forward the maximum amount of CIG funding for this as soon as possible. We have to capitalize on the current political landscape, which we are only guaranteed for the next 2 years, so that construction on the Hudson River tunnels can begin in the fall of 2024 as planned. We also must continue to urge New York and New Jersey to cooperate politically and financially, as they have generally done, to maximize the federal-state funding partnership. With an informed and aligned coalition of Gateway supporters from both states, urging this partnership will be easier. Now that the Gateway program is entering the engineering phase, construction on the Hudson River tunnels is in sight. Thank you to the Gateway Development Commission for moving this critical project forward, and to all partners working toward this goal.
Thank you. There are no more speakers.
Thank you, Mr. Caulfield. The first action item before the board today is entitled Hudson Tunnel Project Authorization to Execute the Project Development Agreement. Do any of the commissioners wish to comment? I make a motion to adopt the resolution. Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? I move this motion to a vote. Mr. Caulfield, please call the roll.
Co-Chair Glenn,
Yes.
Co-Chair Graywall-Verk,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kosha,
Yes.
Commissioner Barbas,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Zarro.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. The second action item before the board today is entitled Authorization for GDC to enter into operational funding agreements with Hudson Tunnel Project Partners and to retain an independent auditor. Do any of the commissioners wish to comment? I make a motion to adopt the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? I move this motion to a vote. Mr. Caulfield, please call the roll.
Co-Chair Glenn,
Yes.
Co-Chair Gray Walverk,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kosha,
Yes.
Commissioner Barbas,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Zarro.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Caulfield. There being no further business to conduct today, I motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Alicia. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I move this motion to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is,
Aye.
you. Motion is approved and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.